Coming up on this week's Weird News Bumper Edition, we have stories about a TripAdvisor complaint, an incorrect birthday cake, mobile phone black spots, drunken antics, airport security, being buried alive, living on a train, and finally, the new sand beauty treatment.
And now, it's time for this week's Weird News with Daniel Bryan.
Hello from this week's Weird News. It's the end of August, and here we are again with episode 24 and 25 in a double bumper episode. This week, we have double the fun and 8 new weird and wonderful news stories just for you. Welcome along to today's show, and if you're a first-time listener, we hope you like the show. This week's Weird News is your source for weird and wonderful news from around the world, while at the same time discovering new up-and-coming talents in the music world. But before we get on to today's show, for anyone who missed our last show, here's a summary of what you missed. On our last show, our first story was about a man who dressed up as a goat and decided to live with them for a couple of days. Our second story was about a shoplifter who got a rather unexpected surprise. Our third story was about getting a haircut and when you don't quite like it. And our fourth story was about a man that went fishing and ended up parking his car in the pond. If you missed it and that in any way sounds interesting, find it on the website at www.thisweeksweirdnews.com or download the last episode from all the major podcast platforms. But now, on to today's show, where it's time for the weird and wonderful news over the last 2 weeks that you may have missed. Our stories today come from week 34 and 35, 2015, or as some of you may prefer, the 17th to the 30th of August.
Story number 1.
When you stay anywhere or visit an attraction, are you one of them people that goes straight onto TripAdvisor to see if it's any good? I know that's what we do with holidays, restaurants and attractions. Or should I say the other half does anyway. Well, one review this week was left on TripAdvisor's site for Ben Nevis. Ben Nevis is a mountain in Scotland here in the UK, and it's actually the tallest mountain in the United Kingdom, measuring in at 4,409 feet above sea level. However, the level 3 TripAdvisor user was less than pleased with his trip to Ben Nevis, and as a result, gave the attraction a 1 out of 5 stars. And the following review. After going up Mount Snowdon by train in Wales, I'd forgotten just how high some mountains can get. And they don't come much higher than this one, that's for sure. Lol. This was almost a full day's climbing, and my girlfriend was crying at one point. When we did get to the top, there was nothing there. Mount Snowdon has a pub, restaurants and toilets at the top. Luckily, we had brought some sandwiches and drinks. So anyone else climbing this one, be warned, there are no facilities at the top. The climb basically went on for far too long, and the last part was particularly steep and difficult. It was also cloudy at the top, so the view was non-existent. The long walk back down was boring, and again took too long. It was a great relief to get back to our B&B in Fort William for a hot, soapy bath, and the joys of flushing a toilet and the soft toilet rolls. This attraction is free, but I honestly couldn't imagine anyone, and I mean anyone, paying to climb this. Now, I don't know about you, but if you were going to the tallest mountain in the UK, wouldn't you suspect that it may take a long time, and at the top of the mountain there's not normally a Costa coffee or a Starbucks? So I don't think Ben Nevis really deserved this 1-star review, and I'm sure that a lot of people will see this and be astonished that anyone could actually think in this way, and not only that, but publish it online for others to judge them. So has this put you off going? Get in touch with your comments, or if you've ever left a review or found one like this, get in touch.
Story number 2.
When there's a birthday, there just has to be a cake. In fact, my own baking skills were put to the test this week when I made a birthday cake for my other half, which, on all accounts, was rather good. But then again, I would say that, wouldn't I? Well, One mother decided her daughter needed a cake for her 21st birthday and didn't fancy or didn't have time to make one, so she decided to get one made by a shop. In this modern day and age, however, you now no longer have to ring the shop or even go down there and visit it. In fact, she texted the shop her request and they got on with it. Her text to the shop asked for a cake with a figure on top of a blonde girl to represent her daughter. It was, however, not until the cake arrived that they discovered the mistake. The text had auto-corrected and the word blonde had been replaced with the word blind. So they'd actually asked for a cake with a blind girl on top. The mother's other daughter, Emily, took a picture of the cake and uploaded it to Twitter, where it's begun doing the rounds. The cake itself had a girl sat on a stool holding a white stick. It's now gone viral as a texting fail. Luckily, everyone saw the funny side of it and the birthday wasn't ruined. In fact, it's probably one that they're going to remember for a long time. You can become part of this week's Weird News. This section of the show can be dedicated to you. Sponsor the show and we can fill this section with a tailor-made advert just for you. Reach your audience in a different way with the power of a podcast. We are open to your ideas, so get in touch at thisweeksweirdnews@gmail.com. Get on board with us now as our listeners grow and we can reach more and more subscribers together.
Story number 3.
Is it the same for you? That it doesn't matter where you are, there's always that little mobile phone black spot where your internet connection is painfully slow or your call just goes dead. Well, this kept happening to one farmer in the UK. Richard Guy was tired of paying over the odds to BT for a ridiculously slow internet connection. In his area, there is no fibre optic connections, just an old-fashioned copper line, which has seen better days and is in higher demand than it was ever designed for. Well, Richard decided to fix the problem himself. He knew that on a remote corner of his land that he could pick up 4G, but where it was useless to him. So he decided to build his own mobile repeater mast. It's powered by a 12-volt battery connected to 2 small solar panels. These then power a 4G dongle that he has then run some relatively cheap fibre optic cable from back to his home. And now, instead of receiving around 1 megabytes per second connection, he's getting around 69 megabytes per second. So as you can imagine, quite an improvement. And now he plans to open his own company called Agri Broadband and aims to get super fast connections to some of Britain's most rural locations. So next time you never have mobile signal, or your internet is running slow and that YouTube video just keeps buffering, then maybe think about a way to make it better from parts laying around in your shed at home.
Story number 4.
Have you ever done anything stupid while drunk and then had it play on your mind for years to come? Well, one businessman did, and now, after 11 years of pondering on it, he's decided to make amends. Although the businessman has decided to remain anonymous, for fear that it will be judged in his current life, he has returned something he stole from Bath University all that time ago, from when he was a student. On one night out, the man decided it would be a good idea to steal a sign. The sign denoted the name of the hall of residence. The sign read De Hill Terrace and was about 3 foot long. When people got in the next day, it was gone and there was no sign of what had happened to it. Then, out of nowhere, 11 years later, it has reappeared with a note that read, "Thank you for the loan of your sign for the past 11 years. I promise I have looked after it well. You will be pleased to hear I have grown up a lot since graduating from Bath. I now work in management for a very well-known multinational brand and no longer steal signs. Thank you and apologies again. A sorry former sign thief." According to the university, this is not an uncommon occurrence. Andrew Monk from the university said, "Our students take away lots from the university. They take impressive qualifications and experience, which prepare them for top jobs, and occasionally, it seems, the odd sign too. We're always delighted to hear from our alumni, wherever they are in the world. And of course, we're also very grateful whenever they choose to give back, including when it's parts and our fixtures and fittings. So did you ever steal anything from university? Or anywhere else for that matter, that you may wish to return? Write into the show and we can issue your apology on air. And that's our first 4 news stories for this week, but stay tuned as we have another 4 coming up. But first, it's time for some TWWN music.
TWWN music.
TWWN music is the part of the show where we showcase up-and-coming talents in the music world and play one of their new original tracks. Then, if you like what you hear, you can check them out further on our website and listen to some of their other work, or even go and buy one of their albums. If you're an artist or a band and you're sat out there and you think, oh, maybe I could be featured, you probably could. Just get in contact with us at thisweeksweirdnews@gmail.com and we'll sort something out for you. Right, on TWWN Music this week, we have an artist called Tommy Lloyd, who is 22 and from Wiltshire, here in the UK. He is a singer, songwriter, music teacher and session musician. He, like many of our other featured artists on TWWN Music, has been singing and performing for a long time already. He first started performing at the age of 11 and went on to be played on the radio as part of a band he was in. Since then, he has put his writing skills to songs for himself and other artists that admire his songwriting skills. The song we are playing today is called I Won't, and it's a brilliant song that you'll want to hear over and over. So after the show, if you go to our website at www.thisweeksweirdnews.com and go to the TWWN music page, you'll be able to listen to Tommy's track again and find out more about him by going to his social media links and checking out his YouTube for some other songs he's done. So now for a change, not playing us out, it's Tommy Lloyd with I Won't.
Gonna get so high, we're never coming down. You're everything that I'll ever need, and now I know that I'm feeling my heartbeat racing now. When you place your hands on mine, and forgetting all of the past mistakes, together we'll turn back time. Cause I only wanna let you know, when you're in my arms it feels like home. Now I've got you, I won't let you go. Days always seem to pass me by, when thoughts of you fill up my mind. No, you'll ever have to be alone. No, I won't let you go. I was losing track of all my time. Before I met you I felt lost. Now you guide me through like a lighthouse in the storm. Without you I was living half a life, without a heart or a soul. Now I can see that the rain has gone, you made the blue skies come home. Cause I only wanna let you know, when you're in my arms it feels like home. Now I've got you, I won't let you go. Cause days always seem to pass me by, when thoughts of you fill up my mind. Now you'll ever have to be alone. No, I won't let you go. Cause we'll go on and on and on and on, on and on and on, on and on and on and on. On and on and on, we'll go on and on and on and on, on and on and on, on and on and on and on and on and on. 'Cause I only wanna let you know, when you're in my arms it feels like home. Now I've got you, I won't let you go. 'Cause days always seem to pass me by, when thoughts of you fill up my mind. Now you'll never have to be alone. No, I won't let you go.
And there we have it. That was Tommy Lloyd with I Won't. That's an amazing song, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Go back on the website and have another listen at it, and check out his other work, because I think you'll be a great fan of his. And now, 4 news stories from the last week that you may have missed.
Story number 5.
Airport security has been severely tightened up over the years, for obvious reasons. And one of the newer sort of regulations they brought in is the restriction on fluid being taken aboard the plane in hand luggage. Now you're restricted to 100ml, and it has to be in a clear bottle. Then, at the airport, this fluid is put into a machine that scans it with a laser to see if it's an explosive or just simply your conditioner to keep your hair from getting frizzy. Pointless fact time here now. This machine was actually developed down the road from me here in Oxfordshire in the UK at the Rutherford Appleton Laboratory, and is now being used in airports around the world. But anyway, one woman was caught out this week when she brought a £150 bottle of fine brandy, only to find that the airport security said she could not take it on the plane as it was over the volume limit. As you could imagine, spending that much on a bottle, you're not going to want to give up on it too easily, and she didn't. She fought to take it on board, but obviously they were not going to give in. So if she can't take it on board, she has to bin it, right? And that way it goes to waste and she never gets to enjoy it. Well, she decided that wasn't going to happen and that she was going to enjoy it after all. And to the astonishment of airport security, began downing the bottle right in front of them. So she didn't waste it, and no one else got to have it if she couldn't have it. But she did, however, quite quickly become rather drunk. It's quite an extreme measure to go to prove a point, but it didn't quite work to her advantage. There are other restrictions on flyers, as well as not carrying over 100ml of fluid. They're also not allowed on a plane if they're drunk. So cabin crew and staff from the airline refused her entry, and she couldn't fly and remained at the airport. So now, not only did she essentially waste a £150 bottle by just downing it and not actually enjoying it, missed her flight to where she was going, and probably woke up somewhere with quite a headache.
Story number
6. Our next story is a little more sad and may want some viewer discretion. It involved a 16-year-old girl called Miss Perez. She had recently been married and she was 3 months pregnant, when one night, when she got up to go to the toilet, she apparently had a panic attack from hearing a burst of gunfire, and fell to the floor and started foaming at the mouth. She later died. Her parents believed she had been possessed by an evil spirit because of the foaming around her mouth. She was then laid to rest in a concrete tomb where all the family paid their respects. She was buried in her wedding dress that she had worn only a few weeks before. Her new husband was obviously heartbroken. The very next day after the funeral, he came back down to her tomb to visit her and to try and cope with the grieving process. While down there, he put a hand on the tomb and whispered to his beloved. But then, he could hear something. He could hear banging and muffled screams. He listened closer to the tomb and was convinced it was coming from inside. Was she alive? He immediately ran and raised the alarm, and then before long, other family members were there, and they were smashing their way into the concrete tomb, trying to get her out. When they got in, what they found was even more shocking. Her casket had a glass viewing window. This viewing window was smashed, and her fingers were all cut and bleeding. But the 16-year-old Mrs. Perez was not alive. She was dead. They took her out of the tomb and then rushed her off to hospital. On the way, they tried to revive her, but also to no avail. She had scratches and bruises on her fingers and her forehead, which had indicated some form of struggle. It is believed that she may not have been dead to start with and had actually suffered a severe panic attack, which had left to a temporary stopping of the heart activity, and thus deeming her as dead. Then, once buried, she'd woken up again and realised where she was, and obviously panicked and tried to get out. Later that day, she was returned to the tomb And obviously now, this is even more traumatic for the family, as not only now do they have to cope with her death, but they have to cope with knowing that she could have been alive in there when they actually buried her. So this is a very sad story this week, but very bizarre. And it's not like something you'd expect to happen in this day and age, that you could tell if someone is dead or alive. So that's one to think of. And our respects and sympathies go out to her husband.
Story number
7.
So the other week, we had a guy who left his rental London apartment to live in Barcelona. And then he commuted to work in London each day and claimed he was saving money as a result of ridiculously high London rental prices. Well, this week we have another similar case in Germany. However, this time it's a lady called Leonie Müller, and she didn't actually leave the country. She just left the house. 23-year-old Leonie is a German student who was fed up with landlords and the price of renting that was costing her £290 a month. So she made the radical decision to leave her flat and take her essential belongings with her and live on a train. Now, if you commute on a train, you probably feel as if you live on a train as it is. But Leonie did more than just that. She does everything on the train. She even washes her hair in the onboard bathroom. But why would anyone want to live on a train? A nationwide monthly season ticket costs her £240. So initially, she is saving £50 a month, and on top of that, she doesn't have to pay for water, electric, or any toilet paper. But one of the things she loves most is the following.
I really feel at home on trains and can visit so many more friends and cities. It's like being on vacation all the time. I read, I write, I look out the window, and I meet nice people all the time. There's always something to do on trains.
She has even based her undergraduate dissertation on her life on the train, where she questions people about their habits and things that they consider normal. She wants to get people to question their habits and the things that they consider normal and reevaluate them. Living on a train doesn't seem normal to me, so maybe I'm one of those people she's referring to that needs to question what is normal, and maybe I'm missing out on the next big opportunity for me, as I think it's strange. One of the downsides, however, is the pizza delivery guy always struggles to find her. So, where are people going to live next?
Story number
8.
So what beauty treatment do you swear by as your cure for ageing? It seems every week that a new method is released, with either hot stones or a new herbal remedy that will improve your joints. Well, you may not have heard of this one, and it's a little tricky to recreate at home. In fact, it can only be done in a desert. It's being done in Egypt, where people claim the sand has healing properties. The treatment itself involves being buried in scorching hot sand with just your head poking out. From the pictures on the article, I can say that it looks like it hurts. If it's any consolation, they give you a little makeshift shade for your head to protect it from the beating sun. The sand in the area is said to have healing properties that can help ease joint pain, cure impotence, fertility issues, and rheumatism. The treatments start with relaxing in the shade, followed by a massage of the feet before you are submerged up to your neck in the desert. After, the patients get given a drink of mint tea, luckily in a tent and out of the direct sun. Another condition of it says that for best results after the treatment, you should not shower for at least 3 days, or allow cold air onto your skin. Treatments last 3 to 9 days and cost between £25 and £33. Included in this price is food and accommodation. So all in all, turns out that it's actually not bad value for money. So if you're thinking about where to go next year for your holidays, maybe give Egypt a consideration. And there we have it. This week's Bumper 8 news stories. We hope you enjoyed them enough to tell your friends and to get in contact with the show with some of your views and comments. If you do, we'll read them out next week. You can email us by emailing
Email thisweeksweirdnews@gmail.com.
or go to our social media pages.
Comment on Facebook at facebook.com/thisweeksweirdnews or on Twitter @weeksweirdnews.
Or you can go to our website where you'll find all these contact details and more about the show. To do this, go to
www.thisweeksweirdnews.com.
And so that's it for this week's show. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Join us next time for more weird and wonderful news from around the world. Only on This Week's Weird News. Goodbye.